hop over to the socials, get that out the way, you know, because I know how some people are about not knowing. So I'm gonna put out, and if the chat fills up, great. If it doesn't, that's good too, because I already sound a bit raw as it is, and I just want to get through this. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, along with my co-host Pix, and our amazing support beings who doesn't weigh in with us but keeps us going moral support wise. We have a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for the 29-month subscription, beans. I appreciate you, girl, and everybody who subscribes. It's like I said, sometimes I don't feel like I deserve half of the love and attention that a lot of y'all give me, but I always appreciate it. Thank you so much, Beans. Thank you so much, Pix. But it's been a crazy week in politics. It has. I have seen a lot of stuff, and I am really pissed with our fourth estate behind the antics that they just keep normalizing with Trump and his ilk. But I wanted to open up with this video just to show that down ballot, people are getting sick and tired of the GOP's antics with regards to their cosplaying, like they're the average blue collar people. Because we're seeing that they don't show up until it's time to ask for a vote. We're seeing how they live opulent lives, but when it comes down to it, they go into these small businesses acting like they're down home, and people are really sick of these antics. So I'm going to play a bit of this from MSNBC, because while I don't watch MSNBC directly anymore, I do love that I can get the clips. It's kind of like Cliff Notes for this nonsense. And we're going to show how people are just getting fed up on these cosplayers that act like they're so hard up. Yeah. Rick Scott's an ass. Rick Scott is the guy that his career should have been destroyed after the Medicaid Medicare scandal in Florida, where $91 million went unallocated and unaccounted for. Just like Tate Reeves in Mississippi, who gave Brett Favre that complex with money that should have went to people in his state. But the GOP can get away with so much illegal shit because they tell people, we hear you, we see you, we're like you, when they know they're not. And I think a lot of people are over this okey doke. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. What's been going around right wing circles, and I know this because of people close to me, is they're lying and saying FEMA hasn't turned out for the victims of Helene and won't turn out for Milton, and that's just not the truth. But these people are factose intolerant, and they will run with a lie so confidently to sway their base while everybody else is sitting around like that's not true. Why are you saying that? We literally got video of Roy Cooper and them accepting FEMA aid for North Carolina, which was devastated by Helene. Towns completely flooded, hundreds of lives lost, displaced, and unaccounted for. But if you listen to the right wing spin machine, they make it seem like the government's doing nothing. But it was crickets when motherfucker went to Puerto Rico after Maria and threw paper towel at them. I'm just like, all I did this weekend was pray for the people in the storm path, because that's all you can do right now, is hopefully that the damage isn't too much and too great. As somebody who lived in Florida for a few years, I know a lot of the buildings and houses are built to withstand. But we also know that there are places like Tornado Alley. There are places that are disenfranchised. There are places that a lot of people without a lot of income are always the ones heavily hit by shit like this. And that's who I was more worried about during the storm. And we even seen it in North Carolina, another state I lived for a few years in, where, yeah, the fucking storm devastation was hard because even though North Carolina is close enough to get hit by this, they don't normally get that strong of a storm there. So, yeah. Asheville, yeah. Asheville. Yeah. 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 Yep. And storm, yeah. These storms whip up strong winds. And it's like I said, Tennessee had that plastic plant, which the owner is still more worried about restarting and lying about telling these people that they had to work and that it would be okay. And five people lost their lives because he wanted profit over people. And I think more people are getting sick of it. It's not that people don't want to work, they don't want to die going to work. It's not that people don't want to, do things the right way. But when the right way is making somebody who's already wealth hoarding more comfortable while you're struggling to do the basic things for your family, a lot of people are waking up and saying enough's enough. Wealthy people don't need tax breaks. But hardworking Americans, we need something to give us incentive to spend. Because whether people want to accept it or not, it is the poor, the working class, and the almost dwindled to non existent middle class that do the most spending, that keep the economy stable. And people are like, well, how can poor people spend? You'd be surprised. When income tax time comes in a lot of poor neighborhoods, that is when you see new TVs, new this, new that. Because they're not sure if they're going to have it again. And I know, oh, that's not financially responsible. But when you don't have and you get a little bit of ends, a lot of people don't care about being financially responsible. And that is the reality of our country right now. Yet we'll elevate somebody who just does it a little differently. Because those wealth hoarders will spend on stupid shit that they don't need. But it's okay because they're already rich. That is the duality that I see a lot more Americans, especially, get sick of. Why is it okay for them to enjoy life, but not us because we're in a different social or economic status in life? Why is it okay for them to bald face lie on things when we're literally showing you that's not the truth in regards to their attacks on legalized immigrants along with the so called illegals, which, no. I think people are tired, you know. Go ahead. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that is their whole message. which is crazy. Yeah. It it's an emergency fund. Yes. Yeah. 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 Exactly. But I think so many people are really starting to see he never cared. You either gotta swear complete loyalty to his campaign and him. It's like Bob Woodward, who I love that. Don't be full of carbs a lot. I love that mug so much. I, Bob Woodward, who irked me 4 years ago with his I'm gonna hold all this information about Trump until I released it in a book, including his COVID lack of response and why he was more worried about losing the election than taking care of the American people. So I'm not a fan of Bob Woodward. But he's coming out with another book now where he interviewed Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham says going to Mar-a-Lago is exhausting because it's just like North Korea. Everybody has to stand and salute this man. There is nobody that dissents with him. They are all, it's just a room full of ass kissers afraid to be singled out, afraid to stand on their own shit, and it is sick. But this is what he wants. This is what he's had his whole life. Yes men or people that know he's stupid enough to be conned into saying what they want him to say and agreeing with them as long as it's financially lucrative for him. Trump is a puppet. I told a friend on the phone earlier today, I was like, as long as we keep the puppet and his protege out of the White House, that's all I care about. Because I know a lot of us feel a bit out of ways, and I'm going to say outright salty about a lot of these people who are now having their come to Jesus moment in regards to Trump. I see the ads all the time. I'm a two-time Trump voter and I can't vote with him this time. He said this about the military. He had been saying that about the military. He literally slandered the Gold Star family. Oh, he's done this to women. He's been like this with women. The man has not changed anything but locations over the years. He has always been this way. And I know people are now like, this is really getting bad with the Project 2025 thing. But I would rather have those people just be honest that it wasn't the racism, it wasn't the misogyny. It was the fact that this man will really fuck our economy over if we put him back in the White House. I would love to see one Trumper attack ad really just come correct. Like, I agree with him up until that point. But when you know that this man's presidency could literally drive us into a literal Great Depression, that's where I have to say no. I don't need this. But a lot of people, they're just not honest with themselves. They want to seem like they're on the right side of history until the GOP gets a more charismatic person that can sweep through all of this stuff. And then they have the also connection to a lot of these bully pulpits now, churches that are literally preaching white supremacy to the point where I was watching the Now This, and this lady was talking about the Oklahoma Bible scandal, where they're literally buying Bibles that were sold by Trump And this other crazy fucker that Last Week Tonight featured, who literally said that Hurricane Helene gave them the blessing of JD Vance coming to talk. This is how they. It's crazy to me. So I don't fuck with these type of holy rollers. They are all insane. But they are literally preaching hate from the pulpit. And they think that it's their right to teach this. And they called it white Christian nationalism now. Or what was it? The phrase. I messed it up. But it basically is a way national Christian something like that. And it just calls out to yeah. They it's basically the anagram that they used made to spell out almost Nazi. And it was a perfectly well done comment because it is what it is now. They will butter up to anybody useful, but they hate us all collectively. And they don't want a society where people can live their authentic self. They want that social hierarchy where they're sitting at the top telling everybody that they're better than, but when you really shine the spotlight on them, you can see they're not anymore. You can see where they use their privilege for so long that they don't even try to educate themselves and be better. So a lot of us are just like, you know what? Let the dum-dums have their collective. We're going to keep moving forward. We cannot keep lowering ourselves to argue with people who are so stuck in that sauce of, well, I don't want to think, so I don't want anybody else to think. I don't want to vote for anybody else's rights but my own, but how dare they want to vote for everybody else's rights? Everybody has to think like me because that's how I think. And you see it over and over again in regards to politics. And people love to slander the Democrats. And I know we're not a perfect party. I've never pretended like Democrats are a perfect party. But the difference is we will call out a fellow Democrat when they fuck up or when they're on the danger zone. We will hold their feet to the fire until they resign or go out in shame like Eric Adams is probably going to. Because he's being defiant about it. But there's a lot on him right now. But people don't seem to understand that because they're like, well, the GOP acts this way. Well, that's them. That's not us. Well, everybody acts. The broad brushing is what pisses me off. But I love this. Go ahead. No, I just say I love this eye-opening for even states that seemed like they were safe reds because people are fucking tired. And even if Ted Cruz loses to another Republican, I think there are a lot more Republicans that are just sick of this shit. They got in because they might have felt fiscally conservative. They might have even gotten in because they believe that abortion is bad or the death penalty is good or whatever standalone reason they decided this party spoke to them. And they have seen over the years how it's just devolved to you've got to hate along with us. And if you don't fall in line with the hate, we can't fuck with you. And it just gets tiring because if you're not about, oh, there you go. If you're not about spreading hate and you just want an America where there's better regulation but not heavy regulation. If you want an America where everybody who works hard at it gets their fair share, this is not the party for you right now with the GOP. The GOP has made such a buffer between the wealthy and those who are struggling that anybody who isn't up there in that 1%, as they like to call it, has to side eye. Because it's like, we're the ones that feel the crunch when prices go up. Not you guys. You're just the one that likes to stoke that the prices are going up when you're buddy with the businesses that allow this price gouging. A lot more people can see things because of the digital age. Yeah, oh, he's sick, man. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And what drove me exactly what drove me nuts was he petitioned and got government backing for Starlink to help rural areas because that was what Starlink was supposed to be. And it is way more affordable for people to go with the cheapest tier of Comcast or any of those other cable slash internet companies than it would be to deal with Starlink's fuck shit. That's why I can't stand people that they only hear the superficial. They only care about the surface level of fuckers like Elon Musk. And they don't understand the fallout this has for the people that they'll clamor because it's like, oh, he cares about us. And then when you get the bill, they're like, wait a minute. This was supposed to be free. This man, he makes me so sick on so many levels. And it's just infuriating. It is. Yeah. And it's such a fine line. That's why I don't do giveaways during election season at all because I don't want people misconstruing that I'm doing that to sway people's votes. And I never offer anybody stuff to vote. I just tell you to vote. I don't even tell you who to vote for. Just be informed on who you're voting for. Because it's like I skipped ahead to this. The Senate candidate Tim Sheehy makes questionable racially changed remarks about the Crow Reservation. Because he's in Montana. Montana is such a touchy state for me because for the longest time, Greg wanted us to move out there because he really likes remote areas. He's like me. We get peopled out really quick. So we like being in a space where neighbors are optional. And I told him one of the reasons I can't move to Montana was A, I watched their governor assault a reporter and get away with it. And then their senators have been fucked up. And it feels like they only cater to people who want to hate. And not all of us who like to isolate and are introverts hate people because they're different. But they seem to got a community out there that eats that shit up. And the Crow have had that land since before a lot of people's actual ancestors immigrated over here. Because need I remind a lot of you supposed flag waving patriots, y'all came from immigrants too. But to have this racial overtone from the people who have already taken enough from this country that took everything from them. This was their land first, point blank. But people don't want to hear that unless they can claim it in their bloodline. And then they don't even want to get into the ramifications of that. Why are you a certain percent of this? Yeah. Yes. Because these are the conversation. Yeah. We should have been had those conversations. But everybody panders to tribal elders and then they don't give them anything. And then people are like, well, they got casinos. A small subset of natives have gotten the benefits to do that and they have made that financially lucrative. But to blanket every tribe like that used to piss me off. Because we have casinos up here run by natives. It doesn't mean every freaking native benefits from that. And they would much prefer to have their lands back. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I gotta get his name too because I know I can see his face, but I'm blanking on the name. Like I said, yeah. And it's like I said, it's shameful that it took us 400 years just to get a native cabinet member. But it was the Biden administration that did that. All these other administrations, people want to tell they're so progressive, so this, so that. No, because it's been the same old for years. And I'm sorry, I said it to Greg and I mean it. As a little girl, we constantly heard that there'll never be a female president. As a black person before Barack Obama, we heard there'll never be a black person. And it's time to stop with the nevers. It's time to stop American people from any walk of life feeling that, well, I'll never have direct representation. We can do this. It just takes effort that a lot of people aren't willing to put the effort into. But let me, while you're looking that up, because I wanted to get to look at these listings. But yeah, that's that Mike Rogers guy. And Senator Stabenow, who I loved her office, got back to you quickly with whatever concerns or anything that you wanted to speak to her about. There are politicians out there that really cared about their constituents. And now they're going against Alyssa Slockins, pretending to be down home and poor when they got lake houses. But I wanted to see that video of that guy that he bought a house in Michigan and then knocked it down. The guy that got kicked out of, GOP Senator Dave McCormick campaigned outside of cheesesteak shop in North Philly, and that shit did not go well. Philly's tired. They chased a right winger out of their area too that was trying to start with the Haitian Americans there. People are sick and tired of the fake. And you don't go into these businesses starting your shit. Did you get the name? Yeah. But let me see if they got the video of it. Give me a moment. Exactly. And it's like I said, with so many people, they're just tired. You had your candidate yelling, everything's fake news. And people are now seeing y'all are the side that put out fake news, whether it is your wealth or lack thereof, whether it is the fact that you go into these churches like you care, or you go into these shops like you give a fuck, and they know you don't because you would rather give tax breaks to the people who own the lease on their shops. So yeah, no, people are over it. And hey, Beans, with MVP in the Oval Office, you could actually disagree about policies with Cheeto dust in there because they're going to scramble to save your ass. I won't fuck with Sterling is because of what Elon Musk did, to the Ukraine. The way he shut them down when they needed it. That man should not be in control of anybody's internet. Point blank. I would never use his stuff. But we got this one of, I wanted to skip to the part where Mika opens. No offense, but MSNBC anchors tend to get on my nerves sometimes. I tolerate her and Joe, but I feel like they softballed a lot of Trump stuff. And I know they've seen the error of their ways now, and I can admit that. But I still think that a lot of people let him get away with stuff in 2015, 2016 that they shouldn't have. And I'm just wary of people who were complicit with letting him skirt on just the horrible things he did and said. But let's see, because I think this was where he went nuts at the Detroit Economics Club, which you had a clip of. But I definitely want to play this as much as I can because this shit was crazy. How you coming to Detroit shitting on Detroit? Like, I'm not even. God. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, yeah, you are literally in Detroit playing in their faces. And it's just like I said, a lot of people do that to Detroit, Chicago. I know there's still rough areas in those towns. But if you ignore the actual economic growth and changes that went on in those cities, especially recently, you're doing it on purpose. Why don't you just say the part out loud that you really want to say? We know your areas with black people are war torn, like he did in 2016. The man literally called black areas war torn. I'm just like, I've lived in black areas. I don't know what you're talking about. I live in a rural area now. I don't know what you're talking about. I have yet to see these war torn areas. But this is the shit they run with to not say black. Hi, Nala, dear. It's good to see you, babe. Yeah. She was like, hey, mom, I hear voices. What's going on? But we're going to play this guy. And we love Nala here. What? So you admit you were a fool before? It's so hard to listen to this man ramble. But you've never shopped for groceries, so what the fuck are you even talking about? I'm gonna get through this because I want to play the part where he gets to Detroit. But this is anybody listening to him that thinks this man is cognitively sound. Y'all want to talk about Joe Biden, who was out there with his Biden hat and the MAGA hat, just throwing out shade? But you can listen to this man for more than 5 fucking minutes and think he's cognitively sound? Are you. Nah, I'm sorry. Nope, sorry. This is crazy. Oh, come on, Grandpa. Speed it up. What? This is really painful. I might have skipped past what he said. Maybe, maybe I missed the part where he said that with. Because it's hard to sit through all of that. It really is. He really makes me. He makes my ass itch. That was the best way I could put it. He makes my ass itch because he rambles. And I'm trying to get past the stomach of speaking, but I might have to use your clip where he said what he said about Detroit picks because, good lord, this man is a menace. And it's like, oh man, stop yelling at the clouds and hush. You don't know economic policy. You don't know what you're talking about. And you could give fuck all about people's paying for groceries. You've never had to pay for groceries. But one of the things that Esquire and a few independent people ran was Trump's comments about undocumented people's genes is one of the worst things he ever said. And are you shocked? This is a man who praised Mein Kampf. He literally praised Mein Kampf. That's why I side anybody who didn't realize till now that he was an outright bigot. But we're going to play a little bit of this before we get to the clips to show that, yes, he really did say this. I don't have to make this shit up. Because so many people want to be like, well, did he really say that? Let me get past the scrutiny on the election results thing, because that's not what I want to get to. I'm going to be a dictator for one day, he says, and close the board. Fuck this guy. But let's play this really quick. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to do their panel. I would suggest if y'all want to watch the full panel, go to MSNBC or just go on Microsoft Edge because they show a lot of this stuff. But I really do think people don't realize that there are a lot of people going to those rallies now just to get these sound bites. They'll pretend to be MAGA. They'll act like MAGA loyal, but they really want to show the world the shit that this man is saying. And to call immigrants directly saying that's in their genes, these are the same people that propped up eugenics and said black and brown people just aren't smart enough to lead in science and technology and all that stuff. And we've had to prove them wrong over and over again. I keep telling people that a lot of the inspiration I got for the nanotechnology leans in my fiction work was from people who are actually doing this. That one young lady who's developing nanospores to go into the human body and fight tumors and everything else. Biotechnology is our future. But, oh no, if you go by assholes like Trump and assholes who still believe in eugenics, yeah, we would never get to that point because they don't want us to get to that point. And it is sick. And before we get to some dark branded levity, I'm going to get to some of your clips too, because I'm sure you have what I was looking for there, Pix. What drives me nuts is how many people don't seem to realize that this is all they have is hate. And when you're not about that hate, when it conflicts with your actual morals, when you have that wake up moment that they're literally letting you hate children whose only crime is their parents could not make it in their own country, but now they have to learn here. They've successfully petitioned to be either granted asylum or allowed to live here because they're a dreamer or allowed to live here because their parents are naturalized. They are not the enemies. But we have a whole literal white nationalist movement trying to make enemies out of everybody. And they've twisted so many good people. That's the only thing I hate about all of this, is that it has exposed so many good people to toxic, and instead of fighting it, they just give in. Because they don't want to be judged amongst their peers as going against the grain. They don't want to be judged by society as being too woke. When a lot of people don't even know what the fuck woke means. They don't. They assume woke means, oh, you cater to everyone and everything. And no, it is knowing what being dehumanized for me is and not wanting other people to experience that. But it came from the roots of our ancestors who said, keep your eyes open where you go in this country because they will lynch you. Keep your eyes open for how you carry yourself because they will use that against you. And we weren't the only groups that had that because the LGBTQ especially had to navigate this country like that. But that whole stay woke thing was a way of defense and protection. And yes, Pix, thank you so much. She is wearing her rainbow crochet pullover because today is officially in the US, I'm not sure how it is in other countries, National Coming Out Day, which I didn't even know. I'm used to Pride in June, but I had no idea in October, and it should have dawned on me because a lot of stuff went down. We like to celebrate what Marsha P did in Greenwich Village, standing up to the police when they raided that Greenwich Village bar. But we don't understand that a lot of stuff went down between the summer and fall of that year. Where people just sick and tired of not being able to be openly themselves. We got our first gay parade in New York and we set the fucking standard for that. Everybody wants to be, oh no, this state did it first. No, the fuck it didn't. I'm telling you, I realize that people are just tired. We're raising people that want to be more open with who they are. We are in families that are so blended that it makes absolutely no sense to be like, oh, I can't stand these people because they're different than me, and then sit across the table from somebody who's literally different from you. And some people still try to do that dance. But it's getting harder and harder for them to do that dance because the people that you try to hate on because you don't know them are now your fucking family. And you see, if you have any cognitive skills, how those lies just don't match. It doesn't mesh up. So we are seeing a lot more people. Yeah. 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 Hi, sweetie. She's just like, Mom. Yeah. But, yeah. It's like, but it's so slow going because a lot of these elders are still alive and they hold tightly to their beliefs. And I got this story from a white couple once that said, the reason why we don't get along with your kind, and I had to ignore the fact that they said your kind, is because we were bullied by black people before. And we were threatened and we got into fights with black people before. So that framed our stuff. And I said, okay, my house, and this wasn't trying to play one up. When I was a teenager, my house was under the threat of fire bombs because they didn't want people like me in their neighborhood. I could have condemned every single white person I seen after that for that action alone. But I realized I didn't want to do that. I realized that I couldn't let the actions of somebody who I knew was hateful blanket the entire demographic that happens to have no melanin. And when I said that to them, it was just like you could see where they were trying to process it and like justify, well, we still feel how we feel. And I was like, okay, I'm not trying to take that from you. But you use that as an excuse for why you gotta hate us all without understanding that you don't even know any other black people after that. You were able to sit and talk with me. Am I threatening? And they were like, no, we don't get that threatened out of you. And I was like, was waiting for them to say it. And they didn't disappoint. You're one of the good ones. I hate that. I, to this day, still hate that. because there's no such thing as one of the good ones. But this is what they use to twist to justify. Yeah. Yeah. Before all the porn comments dropped. Yeah. Yo, one of the good ones. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's all right. Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. But it's like Bean said, because it wasn't just that interaction, it was the way the police pretty much interrogated me and my mom and everybody else in that house to see what we did to antagonize this person who I didn't even talk to. Like, no. But that is one of the things that I had to say. This was their baggage. This is not every white person, because I went to a school where there weren't a lot of kids that looked like me in my class. I went to a school where, while they tried to push that it was diverse, you could tell by my graduation picture when they did that full spread that that wasn't the fucking case. It was just a reality of the situation that diversity was being ham fisted in a lot of schools back then, and it was painful for a lot of us. So when you have it like that and you've been around people, you let people show you who they are instead of just prejudging. That's just been my attitude since I was younger, because I could have had a big chip on my shoulder. I could have been like one of those people when I was first called the N word as a child, to be like, you know what, nope, I'm not dealing with any non-melanated people ever again, never again. But I like giving people the chance to show me who they are instead of just judging them. And a lot of people who are in red states of a certain demographic, they don't do that because they're not raised around us. They assume things about us. And then when they see some of us are just okay people, we get that moniker of, you're one of the good ones. And it's like, you're not going to talk that shit about my people anymore. Because there are a lot of us, good, bad, in between, of every demographic. And I don't want that pat on the head from you. That actually makes me angrier when I hear that, because it's so completely condescending and it spits so much in the face of the reality that we work harder to prove our smarts when we shouldn't have to. Our successes aren't even really celebrated in our own communities because we have that crabs in the barrel mentality when it comes to certain success too. And that we have a lot of generational trauma still to unpack and process, because people don't want us to feel human. They want us to feel less than or different or othered. And when we allow this kind of rhetoric that is in their genes for anybody else, we need to reflect back on, this is the shit they say about us in our community too. This is exactly the stuff that they like to say about all of us that they deem different. And it's not okay. Yeah. Children of be LGBTQ, that goes women. Because women put up with so much. We do. Because a lot of us were taught early on from the Bible that, well, we're second to men. So our voices have to be dimmer or diminished. Our smarts have to be downplayed. I used to hear it all the time. Men don't want a smart woman. Yes, the fuck they do. You want a smart woman if you don't want your house to fall apart. You want a smart woman that's willing to learn and help you in this society. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And, uh, exactly. Mm-hmm. No, it's okay. Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't think people understand how annoying it is that even those of us who, I'm not a trad wife. I make my own money, thank God. And even if I was, I know I'm with somebody who doesn't act like that, even though he was raised to believe some of those things before he got with me. But I don't want women that decide that's the life for me to feel like they can't choose that. It's when they think that because it works for them, it has to work for all of us. When you don't know a person's situation, you don't know. Like I told Greg all the time, while I don't see us ever splitting, I like having my own funds just in case. Just in case something goes south or something happens and we're just not with each other anymore and I need my own because of everything that happened before him. And he's understanding of that. But there are some men out there, especially the ones that want that Project 2025 bullshit to go through, that don't want no fault divorces. They want you trapped until they can end you. And a lot of times they will be the ones that end you. Yeah. 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 Take care of your kids. Yeah. Taught. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, yeah. Yeah. Aw, sweetie. Hi, Nala. It's like my grandmother told me, and I took it to heart. Have your account, have his account, have a joint account. And I don't have access to his account. He doesn't have access to my account on design. And then our joint account, we both have access to. I think it is a smart way to do coupling, especially nowadays. I don't understand the people like, nope, nope, I'm married now. I got to give up all control. That's good on you if you want to live that life. But as somebody who had to leave everything behind before, I took my grandmother's words to heart. Have your stuff, have his stuff, and then have the joint stuff that's for both of you. That way, nothing gets twisted, nothing gets messed up, and you both benefit. I don't understand why these people want to think surrender and control shows loyalty. I'm not down with that. But we are gonna. No, we. This was a good conversation. Pix, this is why I love having you on here for real. This is the conversations that need to be had, especially before the election, because not a lot of people like my family got their early ballots out there and mailed off, and I could breathe a sigh of relief because I could check my state stuff and see that it was accepted. A lot of people are gonna have to stand in line, and they might be weighing in the back of their head, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering with standing in line? Both candidates are the same, which clearly I think VP Harris has shown they're not. But it takes voices that understand so many of the outlying issues that people don't want to talk about because, oh, it's just women's rights. Who cares about them? You should. Because without us, there is no you. And I think a lot of people need to put some respect on our gender for that. And this is not the turfy bullshit, because I hate that too. Because I feel like our trans sisters opened up the door for conversations. Because so many people are like, oh, they're just dudes. What do they know about feeling feminine? They know their spirit was trapped in the wrong shell. And I have more respect for people who transition into who they are than the people who say they're for women's rights, yet want to fucking throw us back to where we have no rights, no voices at all. These same people that spread their poison. Yeah. No. Yeah. I follow her on Twitter. Yeah, I remember where she was running. And the thing is, I think a lot of people, they just want to sow divide. They just want to sow seeds of hatred. They just want people to gatekeep things that they don't even care about. Because while you're out there attacking trans sisters especially, you're not worried about our rights completely being destroyed and demolished by Project 2025. And you're not fooling us with this. But these people, that's all they have. If they can get a few more voices to amplify their hate, it works. And we who aren't about that need to be as loud or louder than them so that we can get past their bullshit. Because they want to drag us back. But like VP Harris said, we're not going back. We can't. Back was not good for a lot of us in this country. Back wasn't even good for the people who think they'll benefit in this country. Because the drinking, the drugs, and everything people were doing back in the 50s, early 60s, and even into the 70s shown that there was a lot of mental instability because people were starting to see this crafted visage of happy 50s lives was bullshit. Why do you think we're not getting remakes of Leave It to Beaver, but we're getting remakes of Good Times, even though that remake is garbage? Because people are tired of the crafted narrative of, oh, the 1950s was so great. Great for who? Was it great for the black people who lived under Jim Crow? The native people who had no voice or anything at all? How about the Hispanic people who didn't get anything but, oh, that's the person that fixes my car or shoe shines? How about the Asian people who had little token roles here and there? Yeah. It was a crafted visage that people are just, they're not down with anymore. And the only people that want to hearken us back to that are men like Trump, who, once again, he benefited from that shit. Those of us who didn't benefit for it, we side-eye when they're like, make America great again. For who? For who? Because you ain't talking about the rest of us. And we see that shit now. And women are starting to see, especially with the repeal of Dobbs and everything else, they sure as hell weren't talking about us. They want us to just get pat on the head and be quiet and let the men do the work. And it's like, but we can do it too. We're smart enough to do it too. And we're tired of a society that keeps telling us and our daughters, our nieces, our sisters, our aunties and grandmas that our place is only silence. No, we don't want to be silent anymore. And I think this country is going to have a reckoning in November. Some people want to call it Rovember. If that is what was your driving force, your reproductive rights, go at it. But I think a lot of us women are just tired of being diminished, tired of having to dull our shine for a society that's not ready to accept us. We don't care anymore. We accept us. And we're going to move forward. And even if we have to drag this country forward on our backs like we've been doing for centuries, we're going to move forward. Because there is no progress without us. You know? Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that. Exactly. At all. They get mad at pronouns. It's like, what the fuck's that have to do with you? If somebody wants to say they are they, them, how does it take from you? If somebody wants to identify in the gender that they know they are, what the fuck does that have to do with you? And I was honest with a friend of mine about this. I had to unlearn a lot of things because I grew up in that era where making fun of people for being different was acceptable. And I had to admit that, yeah, the first step in the getting away from that is to not act like you didn't indulge and engage. It is learning from those mistakes and getting it better. You're not always going to get it right. I have totally tripped up on people's gender identity at times, but I catch myself when I do it now because I know what it feels like to be dehumanized. And to me, like you said, Beans, people who purposely misgender, they're doing that to dehumanize. And I can't be about that. I think, yeah, you are perfect the way you are. As a fellow weirdo myself from New York City, so you know I got that New York City weird. Be yourself. I think too many people, we get in our head about can society accept me? And I keep telling, fuck society. You have to be your best cheerleader because sometimes it'll feel like there is nobody else rooting for you. And honestly speaking, Pix, every conversation we have just it makes me smile because I feel the genuineness you put out there. You know, yeah, 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 yeah. Aw, and see, yeah, exactly, yeah. This is how it should be. And like I said, hate is such a taught thing, but so is not even tolerance because I hate using that too because you shouldn't make it seem like you're tolerating somebody's existence, but acceptance that even if I don't understand, I don't have to condemn. And I think that's the problem with our country right now. We have drawn such hard lines, such battle things that any sign of wavering seems like a weakness for some Americans, and it's not. You're allowed to change and evolve with everybody else. You're allowed to realize that the shit they used to chain you back, you can let go of. But some people, they're still afraid because they are surrounded by people who refuse to change. And they want that social acceptance more than they want to be right with themselves. And at the end, they're the ones who are lost. And I don't want anybody to feel like they have to be lost around me. I honestly don't. I try to accept everybody with exceptions. If you're coming at me bigoted towards somebody else, whether it is somebody's ethnicity, gender identity, sexuality, when you don't even know them, I'm not going to want you in my circles. You have the right to exist and feel your way. You just don't have the right to bring it around my ass. And I think that is the way people have to start treating these people. Is that while you might not want to be a pariah amongst us, as long as you hold on to these ideologies, you can't be around us. We don't want you in our circles, at our tables, anywhere near us, because we're not about that life. And I think it really does need to be said as my voice is starting to give. Sorry, y'all. I saved up for this. It needs to be said, though, that I do see a lot more people, less hate. We were driving back on Sunday from dropping off the ballots, and I'm not gonna lie, I literally live in MAGA territory right now. You see a lot of that, along with the upside down blue and black flags and other crap. But we started seeing other farms with Harris wall signs. We don't put our sign out because we will worry about vandalism or somebody feeling a certain way, because I know some of the neighbors are now like, oh, she's in our neighborhood now. So I felt self-conscious putting any of that stuff out there, and I just don't, because it's just a yard sign to me. I know how I'm voting. But to see other farmers who people assume are just going to blindly vote for Trump putting those signs on their land, that's a big step. So it's like I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I think Kinsler. Yeah, I call him just Adam. Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I don't think people realize. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she's sick of the BS too. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. This isn't it us cheering for her, but we could see where, a lot of people are just, it's not even being woke or waking up. They just realize listening to this man for more than 5 minutes, he's not a leader. The mocking of our military is bad. The fact that his plan for tariffs would fuck our economy into another Great Depression. People want to try to run with the tax that VP Harris wants to put on people who make 400K or more as a bad thing because they raise taxes by this. Yes, for the people who are already making more than enough, they don't add that little bit. They want to twist things, and a lot of us aren't stupid. Yeah, And paying a fuck ton less in taxes. Yeah. More spending. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yes. That's all we're asking. But you know what, Pix? Thank you so much for sitting in. We'll probably be back on Tuesday. I was gonna do the Dark Brandon thing, but I will save it for Tuesday because I want to laugh at Barack Obama stuff. But I can feel my voice just straining to keep going, and like I said, I love this. I love that we can talk about these topics because they are all important before the election and even after, because we will still have midterms coming up too. We need to get a functioning House and Senate as well. And I think, yes, exactly. I just want more people. No, go ahead. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Yep. Which is a disaster. Yeah. 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 Department of Education. Yep. With vouchers. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. You're great. Now. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Elder care. Yeah. Yes. Yes. But we are gonna get ready to wrap this up. Thank you so much, Pixis. Like I said, political investment. That is what it comes down to. I'm not trying to tell people how to vote. I just don't want you to lose that voice. Like I swear I'm not. I'm gonna drink some hot tea after this and relax. But I'm telling you, it really does come down to what rights you're willing to just give up because you don't want to do your bare minimum political investment. I really hope more people understand what you will lose if you give this up. But I will definitely see you again. I'm gonna try for Tuesday. Last week, just really this week actually was just so crazy with not feeling good, with being busy with the family and stuff, and trying to get stuff together. But I hope to be able to come back and do these all the way up to the election and beyond. And if you want to send in pics, that is no problem. I know we're gonna launch our stuff after the election, and I'm really excited about that. But having somebody to bounce this back and forth with is a lot of fun. Even if I sound like I'm a fud right now. But thank you so much. I'm working on it. You all have a good one. Thank you, Beans, for sitting in as always. I'm going to stop the stream now and we'll upload this to YouTube later. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's hit the stop.